What's up guys, Zerodomai Kitsune here, and ever since Gearbox released their recent trailer for Borderlands 3 and the Lilith DLC for BL2, I've been dancing around playing the title. I mean, I bought the game while the entire bundle was on sale for less than a movie ticket.
It's free real estate.
But after playing it for about a day or two, I remembered exactly why I stopped. And I didn't want my final playthrough to go down like that, so I went on a quest. A journey of sorts, to revitalize the game for just one more run. I love modding. To get started, I need to address mod installation before we get into things. Ignore that. Long ago, when I first heard of Borderlands modding, I was pretty turned off by the lengths people had to go to make things work. File conversions, hex editing. Back then it just flew over my head. Fast forward a few years, and now Borderlands has its own mod manager deemed the Borderlands Community Mod Manager. Not that. Which was then broken by the newest DLC. Don't worry though, there is a workaround which we will go over right now. Now to get the Borderlands Community Mod Manager, you have to go to this GitHub page here. Now the page itself does a pretty good job explaining how to get the Borderlands Community Mod Manager and how to install it, but things kinda got mucked up when Gearbox updated the game again, so you're actually going to need a second program. Cody Code's Hex Multitool. That's gonna be what you need as well. Once you've downloaded and extracted both of them, the standard method would have been to simply go into the Community Mod Manager and open it. It executes pretty simple, it checks for updates and then you can launch it. And it wouldn't actually go here. This is because my mod manager is actually properly set up. It would actually bring you up to something that would look a lot similar to this. And this would be where you hex edit the executable of Borderlands to allow modding in the first place. But this is what broke. So instead of doing it here, we have to go into the second program. Launching the Borderlands Hex Multitool will allow you to set up the file path for where your Borderlands is, and once you do that, you simply click the button Borderlands 2 and it'll give you all these options. This is where you'll set up the console so you can activate that, which is key to modding. It'll also allow you to do other things like change the maximum currencies, the maximum level, and all other fancy stuff. I don't mess with that though because I'm not trying to break the game too much with my modding experience. The only really useful thing I think is in this menu is the ability to disable the sanity checks of the game. This option makes it so that if you install some sort of crazy weapon mod, the game won't auto-delete that item once you leave it. So it's something you can use. It's not something I need to use because my mods, or the mods in this video, don't affect weapons, but it is an option if you go in that direction. Simply hit the apply button and you're done, and you can go straight back to the other mod manager. After that, Borderlands Community Mod Manager will be right back to working in the way it's supposed to. With that out of the way, we can now go over our first mod, the Borderlands 2 Unofficial Community Patch, or BLCP, by Shadow Evil. Mods like these tend to be the floor of any sort of mod loadout, and this one is no different. The community patch fixes many things wrong with Borderlands 2, and also makes a bunch of tweaks simply for convenience. All of which can be disabled or enabled during installation, which I'll go over at the end. Now, with the sheer size of this patch, I can't go over everything it does. I mean, just look at it. So lengthy, so girthy. Just how I like it. Just listing out some of the more notable changes includes buffing several underperforming weapon types, including uniques and legendaries, removing the perma-slag glitch, increasing damage over time effects in UVHM, adding legendaries and quest items as drops to related enemies, buffing the Vault Hunters in various ways, and so much more. The DOT buff interests me in particular, since UVHM is infamous for giving all enemies health regen powerful enough to nullify any chance for dots to kill even the weakest midget.
Did I stutter?
Anyways, I spent some time playing around with the various elemental builds using Maya, and to my surprise, dots were back to killing things. And throw a little slag into the mix and melting crowds of enemies is right back to being possible. The Vault Hunter buffs are also really noticeable, buffing both Axton and Gage's action skill damage to mirror the console versions, something I didn't even know was a thing until seeing this mod. Many of Maya's skills were buffed to scale better with the game, and Krieg even got a skill that was hidden in the game's code, re-added back into his Bloodlust tree. This mod does so much more than that though, even altering little things like giving a chance to get a bad touch after Moxie starts pulling good touches out of her storage. This mod fixes so many things that I wish were available back when I was grinding hours away on the PS3. Now I don't agree with all the changes, like taking away the Kulane's self-slag, which in itself was a reference to Kukulane, meaning it was a gun I liked for obvious reasons. And some buffs felt misguided, like the damage buff of the Deliverance shotgun, another one of my favorites, when fire rate would have synergized with its unique effect much better. There are other small nitpicks I have with the mod, but overall, it is still a mod that I would strongly recommend for any PC Borderlands player, so let's install the thing. The Borderlands 2 unofficial community patch is, interestingly enough, the only mod downloaded from the Nexus in the selection. You simply go to Files, hit Manual Download, the basic stuff you know if you've ever modded Skyrim or something. Download it and extract it into whatever mod folder you want to use, and you'll open it up to see that it's just a bunch of text documents. That's the funny thing about Borderlands modding. A lot of these aren't fancy programs or anything, they're just a compilation of text documents. From there, you simply open up the Community Mod Manager, and File, Open, and you look for the patch here. Go into UCP, patch.txt, and load. And bam, this is the unofficial community patch. Now if you want to stop here, you can simply go to File, Save As, and then this, I actually like this feature. In the right hand corner here, you actually have a quick load to either the BLCMM's install directory, right here, or even the Borderlands 2 binaries directory, which is where you want to put your patches. And you just simply save them as patch.txt. I use patch2.txt because my patch 1 is actually all of the mods in this video compiled together, which I'll explain in the next installation. So we're going to save it as patch2.txt, save, yes. But before we go into the game and I'll explain how to activate the patch, I want to show that you can turn on and off certain features. So they're just check marks. Now normally you don't want to mess with these, but if it's something that says like optional, you can go into it, and these are the things you would tweak on and off. See, this mod actually has some nerfs for certain characters. Something like Maya's Cloud Kill, which got buffed by Gearbox, and some might say that buff was too much. So if you go in here, you see it's got nerfs for different characters. Let's go into Maya and you'll see Cloud Kill. Simply check that on, and Cloud Kill has been nerfed. Now that we're in the game, you're going to use that console command button that you set up earlier. Simply hit it, and boom. You have your console open, and all you have to do here is simply type in execute patch.txt, or in the case of this video, patch2.txt. And you'll see running UCP 4.2. I guess I should also include there is a quick way to check whether or not the patch is running. You can simply continue the character, and as soon as you get in, go into your menu and just look at your badass rank. It should say running UCP 4.2. And that's all there is to it. With the baseline out of the way, we can move on to removing some of the grinding out of Borderlands. Don't get me wrong, the RNG can sometimes be fun, despite effectively being a prelude to modern day games as a service loot box bullshit.
Turning players into payers.
But it's 2019. Ain't no one got time for a 7-year-old game when the sequel's coming out in a couple of months. Give or take a year for Steam purists. So to fix that, we have the BL2 Better Loot Mod by Apocalyptech. Simply put, this mod increases both the chance to get good loot and increasing the amount of loot that drops when fighting a boss. Now this mod is ludicrously powerful, to the point that doing a single quest that involved fighting badasses left a trail of gemstones, legendaries, and pearlescents in my wake. So yeah, it can be a bit much. Luckily though, this can be tweaked during installation to reel back on the legendary spam a bit. Not much else to say, this is quite a simple mod, I can't really make any jokes here, so let's go straight into the installation. Now the GitHub page is going to be where you're going to be getting most of your Borderlands mods, and for something like the BL2 Better Loot Mod, you'll simply click on this, which is the BLCM, and download it. You'll see that yet again it is another text document, and you can simply select all, Control-C, and turn it into a text document. The end result would be something like this. Now obviously it's no longer a .txt, I simply did that manually. You can turn it right back into it by going And there it is. We're going to keep it as .blcm though. No reason to really change that. I did say I was going to show how to group these mods together though, so instead of simply going File Open, you'll go to File Import Mod Files. And you can see I already have one here, but luckily enough we can just go to Open BLCM Install Directory and go to Mods and wherever you keep yours. I kept mine separated by the creator, so go to Apocalytech and BL2 Better Loot Mods.blcm. Open it and boom, right there. These are going to be where your other mods are. And this one, like the Community Mod Manager, does have some options. Not all mods that you install will have these options. That's why I'm showing it here and I won't show it in future ones. But see, you have drop quality. These ones, you only choose one option. So you can go from excellent quality. Oh, I accidentally opened it. You can go to excellent quality, stockish quality, which is basically a little bit better than base game, but not that much. And everything in between. You can also change the boss unique drop rates and the quantities of items they drop. Like you can do the loot explosion, you get from like major raid bosses or something, or you can just have it slightly improved. I use stock quality for the quantities because I killed a boss and got 3 copies of the same legendary item from them, and I just thought that was a bit too much. So here are the options. Again, you simply save it as the patch.txt and reload it into Borderlands. That's basically the gist of it, which is why I'm not going to show it in future segments. The previous mod only worked with loot drops and chests, but one thing that is almost always overlooked by players are the gun vendors. I don't know about anyone else, but in general, I just ignored these things about halfway through my time with BL2, which is sad because Borderlands 1 vendors were awesome. I remember in late game, they had a fairly decent chance to sell you legendaries, but here, vendors are trash. So to fix that, we have Make Vendors Great Again 2017 by Jim Raven. 2017. You never know how good you have it until it gets much worse. Anyways, this mod almost didn't make this list because, to be honest, Better Loot pretty much covers all looting issues, but there is some enjoyment in opening up a shop to see a legendary as the item of the day. This is also much more balanced since the values of legendary items are so high that the price balances it out. I mean, what else are you going to do with the money you end up getting? There aren't any fancy installation options here, so just going to move on. With looting out of the way, my next objective was to find a way to fix my favorite low tier raider.
The completionist in me is like, yeah!
No, you decide, ho. Maya, a character who, despite being the titular siren of the game, is visibly weaker than her vault hunting brothers and sisters. Not to say she doesn't have her ways to blow people up, but she has many flaws that get exacerbated the further into the game you get. Now, her badly scaling elemental abilities have already been addressed both by Gearbox, after years, and the community patch, but one glaring flaw in Maya still remained. Phaselock immune enemies. And that's where PhaselockTweaks by 55 Tumble comes to save the day. A large portion of her damage comes from phaselocking targets to activate different skills, but that goes out of the window with targets who are immune to phaselocking, regulating her to a support role in those fights. Now that I think about it, Gage's action skill doesn't work against most raid bosses either. Almost like these characters were meant to only support their boyfriends or something.
That was a joke.
Anyways, PhaselockTweaks makes it so when you phaselock an immune target, the skill doesn't immediately go on cooldown. Instead, it activates your phaselock related skills for 5 seconds. A good example of how useful that is with the Saturn fight. Maya has an interesting gimmick with the chain reaction skill that allows her to basically insta-give this giant robot, but requires phaselock to activate. Now luckily in the area a single baby skag spawns that you can grab for this, but if you spec into any of Maya's damaging phaselock skills, with this mod though, just phaselock Saturn and go to town.
Pretty cool.
I love the kind of woman that can kick my ass.
Careful though, it is a static 5 seconds even with phaselock extending skills. The mod also does one other thing, and that is delaying the Helios explosion. Sounds minor, but that delay allows Ruin Slag and Converge to come first, increasing Maya's DPS a bit. As for installation, again nothing really special under the hood, so we can just move on to the last mod. Now this one's special. Unlike the rest of the mods today, it installs outside of the mod manager and can be used as a framework. That's what the mod category on the main menu was from. As for what this mod does, well, have you ever wanted to give Gage a money shot, put Boar on Salvador, or just give Maya some sort of elemental skill? Well, now's your chance, because with CrossClass Skill Randomizer by Matt Hurd, I think. Sorry, GitHub's a bit confusing for my plebeian eyes. With this mod, you can randomize your character's skill tree, pulling from all the potential abilities in the game that aren't attached to a character's action skill. Anything from Maya's Flicker to Krieg's Bloodsplosion are available to any character with this mod, and all you have to do is activate it and pick a character. Obviously, this has the potential to make a character significantly overpowered depending on how the randomizer gives out the skills. But I was having plenty of fun running around as a Krieg with Blight Phoenix. He was truly living Brick's dream. One thing to be careful of is that obviously some skills don't function exactly as they do with their correct character. I rolled a Maya with Silence the Voices that ended up giving her a 500% melee boost without the demerit of punching herself in the face. But more importantly, I got a Gage with Maya's melee override Scorn, and that was a thing of beauty, but not good for extended play. So randomize responsibly. For this last mod, things are a bit different. It doesn't load through the community mod manager, so instead you're gonna have to go through this GitHub page, download the latest Python SDK zip, just download all this, and you'll have to install it into the base directory of Borderlands. And from there, you'll simply run the game. Now I did notice that the searching for downloadable content will take a little bit longer than usual with this mod, but that's nothing special. You'll see that there's a new mods category, and you'll go into that. And you'll see these, the General, Commander, and Grenader. I don't mess with those. What you really want is this cross-class skill randomizer. Now you see, I've done a lot of randomizing, just to get, a good Maya build. But what you'll pick is just new seed, click enter, enable it, and just select a character. And that's all there is to it. Now, as I said earlier, you'll get a list of different seeds that you've used before. Make sure every time you load the game, if you're trying to, do a full playthrough, look for the seed you used before. These do not activate automatically. You need to manually, thank you Claptrap, you need to manually activate them every time you launch the game, or else you'll end up getting all your skill points back. So those are all the mods. Sorry, no fancy nude Maya texture mods or anything made the cut. I mean, why even bother? It's a first person game. But this selection should be able to, at the very least, inch out one more playthrough of good old Borderlands 2 before 3 comes out. And honestly, I doubt I would come back to this once it's released. I mean, regardless of how Borderlands 3 turns out, with all that interesting info with Gearbox lately, BL2 has some really annoying flaws, and not all of them can be fixed by mods. With that said, this old dog still has a few tricks, so let me know if any of these mods gave you a reason to go vault hunting again. And before I go, I have one question to ask. Anyone want to put bets on whether they're going to retcon Lewis Wanted poster?